What's going on, y'all? Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Thank you all for joining me. Let me make sure I'm on my health channel. You get so many channels, you got to get confused where you are. But thank you all for joining me today. Now, we got to talk about this topic. So, I appreciate all of you all who hit the like button. There's a lot going on in this world, so I'm going to try to put this all in a very interesting context. As you know, on YouTube, when you're talking about topics about health and wellness, you can't, you have to speak very wisely. You have to use wisdom. Can't just say the obvious stuff because there's a nefarious agenda in this world that wants to deflect and distract you from what's actually happening. So, yeah. I see we got people in here already. So what's going on? Axiom Descent, peace and blessings. I appreciate all of you all here. Let me see. I needed to do one more thing. While I'm talking to you all, let me finish up one thing here. It's important that I do this. Let me see if I can do this. All right. Everybody's noticed the fog in the air, the smell, the chemical smell. I've noticed it for probably since 2018. And we know about, we got to use code words here. So let's use our code words. But we know about the spraying that's been happening in the air. And I think that there's a lot more going on than that. We know about the radiation. We know about the spraying. We know about the contamination of the food, the livestock. There's so many ways. And keep in mind, this is not about fear. This is about just making awareness, because the first thing we do is we live by faith in Jesus. And we already know that the world's corrupt. And we're not in fear. But because we have faith, we don't trust the world. We don't believe their narratives. We don't fall for their theories. So as a result, we can use wisdom that comes from God to get back to his design, his way of doing things. See, God has already given us the blueprint of how we should live. It's the world that wants to distort us away from God, to trust in industry, corporations, government, institutions, all of that stuff. We know about all the organizations. So give me 1 second while I finish this. Like right now, we have a snowstorm here, right? And keep in mind, just a week ago, we were almost 70 degrees. And I'm not saying this can't happen, but we're almost 70 degrees. We all see the streaks across the sky, the geoengineering, the weather mod that's happening. I want to share something with you all that the military put out there concerning what they were going to do by 2025. They wanted to own the weather, whatever that means. There's no really owning the weather, but they want to give people this kind of narrative that they have more control than they do. And they don't realize that God is allowing these people to judge the world. He's allowing them, like Satan. Satan is the God of the world because the world's under judgment. And God is going to use Satan to judge the wicked, so to speak. So a lot of people have been touching on this fog issue. And it's it's a mess, to say the least. It's a mess. Let me see. I'm trying to think. What should I do here? I don't even know if I want to use that term. Yeah, I think I'll just try this one. I tell you, man, this stuff is absolutely madness, trying to deal with all this censorship and all of this stuff here. Okay, there we go. All right, I had to do something so they can make the video visible. I haven't been on my health channel in a while because they changed the algorithm, they changed the terms and conditions and all that stuff. So, everything that I'm doing on my health channel is going to be what I use. It's my personal experience. This is for informational, educational purposes only. No medical advice, no medical professionals. If you want that, go get your naturopathic, holistic professional, and let them do it. Over here, we're just giving you information. I'm telling you how I view my personal experiences about what's going on. So I'm not telling nobody to do anything. So you're not going to be able to say, oh, we gotta make sure we get that clear. But I think those who know, we know, right? And those who don't know, we urge you, go seek out the word of God so that you can understand the truth, which comes from God, and then you will understand what's going on in this world. Because if you try to go find the truth in the world, you're just going to find lies. There's no truth in this world. Truth is only in Christ, only by his word. Got to say that. All right, let me do something in the air. I'm just doing a few things here. Then we about to get started. Huh. All right. I think that'll do it. I don't even know what category to put these videos in. I'm so, it's so crazy on YouTube. All right, we're done. But thank you all for joining. I'm glad we got some people in here. What's going on, y'all? Chad, Hurry, appreciate all of you all here. Again, this is my health channel. I want people to know this is my health channel. So I want you to understand I got 3 channels on YouTube. My main channel, Spiritual Logic for Truth. My backup channel, Following Christ. And this is my health channel, Spiritual Logic Wellness channel. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to it. Again, I don't know how visible this channel is, so make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. And let's continue to get in here. So we got Corey G, Yeshua, Mikael, excuse me if I say your names wrong, Slim Hussein, what's going on, bro? Axiom, what's going on? He says, Job 36, 26, 28, behold, God is great, and we do not know him, nor can the number of his years be discovered. Amen. Cynthia Sunflowers. Oh, it said no sound? Oh, can you hear me? Let me know if y'all can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me, because one person says we have no sound. YouTube plays funny games. So on my side, I see sound. Okay, 5 by 5. Okay, so y'all make sure you're in. Let me type this. I have sound. Check you're in. YouTube plays funny games over here. They don't want you to hear anything I say so bad. They might tap into your computer and readjust your settings, or I've seen them do it to me. So, okay, good. What's going on, Robin Wilson? Thank you for joining here. Shawana, what's going on? Yeah, you got the snow too? Yeah, we got like a foot of snow on the ground. It's cold. We got maybe another storm at the end of the week. Hey, I'm enjoying it. I just pray that everyone's safe and out there. What's going on, B1, Zigzag? Man Cave, what's going on? Appreciate you. Bible Thumper, what's going on? Paige White. And keep in mind, this is global. This is global. I'm going to show y'all something real quick. What's happening in this world is not localized to the United States. So give me 1 second. So I want everybody to check out something. And this plays a role. Now, this is not a direct issue. This is from the military. So I want you all to, I'm going to leave this on the screen while we, you said the audio's a little choppy. Oh, come on, man. All right, let me know if The audio's better. What's going on, XC? Yeah, I think what's happening is the signal. It's not necessarily the settings. I think that when they want to watch you, when you're being quotations watched, they are filtering the stream and putting it through all kinds of algorithms and artificial intelligence that is actually distorting the signal that we get from the actual internet itself. So it may not be a setting or such. It may be just that this channel is under such filtering and scrutiny that they want to catch me slipping up a word or saying something like that. So wise as serpents, harmless as doves here. So understand that the geoengineering, the weather mod, and the fog and all this stuff plays a role. We have a very comprehensive view about what's happening in terms of environmental toxicity, right? Now, we understand there are narratives out here that want you to believe that there's something that only the experts, only that the pharmakeia people can tell you what's going on, and that we have to ignore objective reality, our God-given senses that, we have eyes to see, that we can see the sky, we can see what's happening in the sky, what's being sprayed in the sky. We can visualize towers and radiations and generations of technology. We can see that the food is not like it was when our grandparents grew their own food. It had seeds, what they fed their animals, how they raised their animals. It was free of antibiotics, steroids, all kinds of things that they put in the people. So, yeah. Like, let me tell you something very interesting. They used to have, all across the United States, they used to have fruit trees, right? Fruit trees used to be abundant. In the temperate zone, we used to have apples, pears, peaches, blueberries, strawberries. I mean, literally, you could just walk anywhere in any area, especially in my area in the East Coast, DMV. You could find fruit trees everywhere when I was growing up. Most of our neighbors had fruit trees. They were collecting baskets and baskets full of apples and pears and sharing them with neighborhoods. I mean, the world used to be like this. Now, what happened was city had city ordinances that said that the fruit was rotting and creating infestations and all kinds of issues. That was never the case. All right. Remember, they're always going to provide a narrative that's not going to be the truth to get something done. They wanted to get rid of fruit trees because that's free food. God gave us trees to provide fruit. If fruit trees were everywhere, there would be no starving, homeless people. Like if you go to any tropical areas or any areas that are not modernized, people in the local communities, they just pull fruit off the tree and they eat, and they can, preserve it. They can store it. They can cook with it. They can do all kinds of things with it. People used to have gardens. Now cities and local municipalities are slowly creating laws and ordinances where your home, if you have a house, can't have a garden past a certain size. And keep in mind, this is a slow boil between increasing the toxicity of our environment, sabotaging our food supply, and destroying local family-owned farming industries. They did this in a couple of ways. First, they overregulate them. They create fines, and then they got the so-called the bird bug going around where they say, well, you got to kill your chickens because something's going on with the chickens. You got to trust them, right? They want you to believe in the system so that they can come in your property and destroy your chickens and tell you that your cattle are not up to the tax carbon credits and all this stuff, the ESG regulations and all this stuff that's going on. What's going on, Shield of Faith, Calix? What's going on? Yeah, Gabrielle says in Florida, it's common to have fruit trees. Exactly. Yeah, trust the science or the seance or the pharmakeia or the sorcerers. They misappropriate the word science. Science is supposed to just mean knowledge in a sense, a kind of a knowledge that comes from your conscience with, it's kind of like a revelation of God's creation, but they have distorted the word science to be more along the lines of trust institutions to epistemologically reinterpret God's creation into a construct of the world's imagination, so that you can't know anything unless you are indoctrinated through the Freemason led institutions. They're going to rebrand everything, and they're going to re-indoctrinate or reteach you what things are, so that you can only do things within their paradigm and within their systems, right? And this is kind of why I have to talk like this. This is why people, they go smell toxic chemicals in the air. They see airplanes up there doing what they do 24/7, nonstop. No one asks, like, why are they doing that? We all know that what a natural contrail is, right? But that's not the case, all right? That's already been proven. I'm not going to this. People want to, people who love the world and trust the world, they want to come over here and tell you, you don't know what you're talking about. That's just condensation. That's just that. We've already proven why it's not. We literally seen planes at the same altitude shut off the engine and shut it back on. If it was purely condensation, they wouldn't be able to shut off that trail, right? Because the coldness of the upper atmosphere. Keep in mind, people don't realize that I'm very well studied in meteorology. I know about the atmosphere, the upper troposphere, and the coldness of the upper atmosphere, and how that can, and under the right circumstances, produce condensation. And in fact, that's how we get clouds, and that's how we get clouds of various nature from the stratus, the cumulonimbus clouds, and all these things. They have a lot of different unique things have to be in place for certain clouds to be there. Like cirrus clouds are way high in the upper atmosphere. They're ice crystals, right? And so we understand what's going on. What's going on, Blanca? You, peace and blessings. Yeah, Slim Hussein says, I remember everyone had a honeysuckle bush. Yeah, we all did. We used to just like, get some of them and get the honeysuckle out. Man, it was good times. People used to pick blueberries up and just eat them and get an apple. We didn't even have to worry about, in the country. My grandmother took me to the country a lot when I was really young, from literally when I was born to like most of my life. So we used to grab apples, just, rub it on our shirt. It wasn't even an idea of thinking about, it's pesticide on this. I need to put it in baking soda and vinegar to break the pesticide. We didn't even think about that. And people were strong. My grandparents were strong. And it wasn't until they got up out of the farm and got into the hustle and bustle of this city life that they started having issues. And the food quality just didn't. I mean, even an orange. I remember getting an orange when I was young. You open an orange, it was so juicy, the smell would light up a room. Now these oranges are dry. They're just weird. They barely have seeds. Same with the lemons. Same with everything. It's just not the same. If you see, this is where the knowledge of the elders and those who are older plays a role, because they grew up handpicking fruits and vegetables in their original state, growing them and repurposing the seeds themselves and doing all this. So they know what a tomato looks like when it hasn't been altered. They know the texture, the juiciness, the flavor. All of this stuff is imprinted to give context to what's real and fake. See, a lot of people, if you were born in a certain generation and you have no connection with your elders from the previous generation, you might think that this is what these fruits and vegetables are supposed to look like, right? And there's a very comprehensive agenda going on where people don't realize that the environmental toxicity and the low nutritional value of food are playing a role together, right? They increase the toxicity of our environment, but they lower the nutritional value that you get from food. So what happens is your body is being saturated with all kinds of unnatural things, and you're not getting the nutrients from the foods to help your body to filter these things out and mitigate the effects of these things. Because what's going on, Bible Thumper? Peace and blessings. Let me make sure I got everybody in here. Let me take it off the top chat real quick. Even with pots, people used to use stainless steel, cast iron, and just like clay pots. It used to use real things. that when you heat them, you're not leaching off chemicals. You're not worrying about PFAS and lead and forever chemicals and Teflon coatings and all. Don't get a non-stick anything. Honestly, even when you, like, this is what another reason to go against fast food, aside from the fact that it's highly processed and loaded with chemicals, is that the wrapping has a forever chemical coating on it to keep the moisture from the food from breaking up the thing. And so most of the wrapping of foods is just toxic and it's loading. You can almost smell it and taste it if your body is pure enough from eating real food. So let's get to this fog. All around the world, people have been noticing fog, and it's hard to find articles. Like if I go into certain things right now, you're not going to find many articles about this. But one good thing about social media is that people are telling what they're experiencing in their areas, and a lot of people on social medias have been telling you, hey, there's some weird fog going around. I know what fog looks like. This is not natural. It has a smell to it. You can taste it. It's kind of got this weird kind of look and feel to it. It's not natural fog, even around places that are very used to fog. Now, even calling it fog is weird. You know, most people call it bizarre or strange or mysterious fog or something like that, right? But even we call it fog because it impacts our visibility. It has the appearance of just being natural fog, but natural fog doesn't have a smell, an odor. It doesn't make your eyes water. It doesn't make your throat itchy and sore. You know, I've had something, you know, a while with this dry cough, and I had a sore throat, and I had all these things. And, you know, it hit me out of nowhere. You know, and I remember going out many nights, especially at night. People don't realize a lot of the spraying, because of our awareness, because people are starting to notice, they don't spray that much in the daytime anymore. They spray mostly at night. And it's not just with airplanes, it could be helicopters, possibly even drones. You know, a lot of people are talking about the drones are out there doing whatever. How many people are realizing that these drones could be dispersing some kind of aerosol on you, right? It's like people just look up in the sky and they turn on the TV to tell them what they see in the sky instead of critically thinking themselves to say, why do I trust the media? You know, if you go to places like New York, and anybody in New York City, I want you all to verify these things for me. They literally have trucks telling people, hey, we're spraying for mosquitoes. You know, we know Mr. Bill Gates or Bill Gates, you know, released billions, and who knows the real number, of genetically modified mosquitoes everywhere, right? They're not natural. That's probably why many of us have seen mosquitoes in the cold, and we never used to see mosquitoes in certain seasons, right? Even if it was warmer than average, we didn't see them. But now you see weird mosquitoes around when it's ice cold outside, and it's a lot of weird stuff going on. And who knows what's going on with these mosquitoes? We know about the theories, and I can't really say some of these theories because they reveal too much. But let's just say mosquitoes can transfer things through the blood and all that stuff that they have in them. So we don't know what kind of nanoparticles or unnatural, you know, substances are engineered for these things to transfer. We just don't have a clue. What's going on, Dale Griffith? Yeah, low-flying helicopters. Many people have seen this. These low-flying helicopters, these trucks going around spraying some chemicals, telling people, close your windows. We're spraying for mosquitoes. They got this in Mexico. They got this all around the world. Now, let me tell y'all, let's just talk. This is my first health stream, so it's going to be all over the place. I'm going to do more refined things. Make sure y'all check out my shorts that I loaded on this channel. But today, since this is my first health stream, I'm not going to be too precise. I just want to get a general thing because it's a lot going on. Eventually, we'll streamline this information. But how is it the world has so much conflict? There's nations against nations and all of this, but they seem to be lock in step with geoengineering projects, weather modification projects, uh, mosquito projects. Bill Gates is going all around the world trying to promote his little um, these his pharmacia things, procedures, and all this stuff all around the world. But yet there's division, but there's unity when it comes to these nefarious agendas. I always found that interesting, and we know that there are no nations, there are no individual countries. That's what they want to tell you. That's why they give you a president or a world leader to give you an illusion that this person is really in charge of your nation, but they're really just a puppet and giving you a figurehead to direct your emotions and project your emotions to this person so that you won't know that the world is already structured under a worldwide government. And these are nation states, part of this worldwide government. And these three-letter organizations, WEF or the UN or WHO, are just like they're covering for the I don't know, whatever satanic Luciferian Rothschild bloodlines that are really doing the work of Satan, you know, the spiritual wickedness in high places and principalities and all that stuff. Well, all of that is a cover, right? They want to give you some structure. They're trying to give you a formal structure to think for you to think that there's some kind of good purpose to all of this. And it's not. It's all just an illusion to deflect from the satanic agendas that have been in place probably for hundreds, if not more, through multiple civilizations, multiple empires, monarchs throughout history. They give you this narrative that it's always been about conquest, but the conquest has been for a common goal in multiple civilizations. You know, the worship of their so-called false gods in Egypt and Babylon and in Rome and all this stuff. Well, they're steering you all to Satan. That's all that is for, is getting you in some man-centered, apostate, false religion that's steering you right to Satan. And now they got the Vatican to kind of give you this ecumenical movement where you're supposed to give these world leaders some kind of religious authority over you. Say, oh, well, you know, we're doing this because we care about you, because we're trying to, you know, that's where they moralize their evil by having this false apostate religious structure on their geopolitical stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's why the Vatican is a political entity. It disguises itself as a religious entity, but religious in the fact that it's satanic, but political, that it really connects these countries in this common agenda. Wow, Old Navy Lover says, yes, Robin, Florida. What's going on, Old Navy Lover? He or she says that Florida has no more orange trees. Wow, that's crazy, because we know everybody grew up with Florida or California oranges, and now, you know, they're using weather modification to wipe out a lot of the local agriculture, right? So in places where indigenous fruits and crops and things grow, they're wiping these things out because they want people to eat fake foods that are, you know, grown in labs or grown in these kind of unnatural controlled environments. You know, like everybody knows what they did with salmon, right? Salmon used to be abundant, and now they got most of the salmon is farm raised, you know, and even though they pollute the ocean, people still prefer wild caught sockeye salmon. But that's becoming less and less, you know, good. And this farm raised that looks totally unnatural and probably has no nutritional value is slowly starting to take over, right? And a lot of people just eat it. And the whole purpose of salmon is that you're getting this rich omega-3 fatty acids and fat soluble vitamins and all these micronutrients that are common to fish. But if you're not getting the nutrients and you're just eating for flavor, which the flavor can be chemically induced. And this is what people don't understand. What's going on, Tita? Peace and blessings. And I'm gonna tell everybody this is my health channel. So yeah, only certain people can smell it in the air. Very strange indeed. What's going on, Midu? Crazy times, y'all. Absolutely nuts out here. What's going on? Michael Ryan, peace and blessings. So check out this right here. What we have on it says weather as a force multiplier, owning the weather in 2025. Everybody knows we're currently in 2025. Everybody's been talking about, they want to tell you about the aurora borealis. So literally everybody in latitudes all the way down to, I don't know, past where I am. I'm in the DMV, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, right? So apparently they had aurora borealis here, but keep in mind, they also tell you that they have created artificial uh, auroras, right? The HARP, the HARP thing that they got in Alaska, and they have it all over the world, literally is to produce artificial auroras. Now, if you've been paying attention, they're telling you that a lot of this is called from CMEs, coronal mass ejections or solar flares, right? They're always giving you this narrative of the sun. Now, I'm not saying that God is no longer doing his natural thing. Yes, and I'm thinking that they're trying to counterfeit the natural, right? That's all they do is counterfeit what God does, right? And they create these counterfeits that it's really difficult to determine what is coming from God naturally and what is coming from these HARP things, right? And so Starlink is something in the upper atmosphere. I don't buy the space narrative, so I'm not going to say it's in. If you want to say upper atmosphere or extremely low Earth orbit, as long as, look, I'm not buying the space narrative, but they got very sophisticated weather balloons out there right now, and of course they're not going to tell you that, and they want you to believe in the narrative that these people are going to Mars and the moon and all that, because it's really deflecting from what they're doing on Earth. Everything they're doing is affecting us. They're building their Antichrist beast system on Earth, but they want you to think that all this money and resource and technology is going to the elusive, non-existent outer space, so that you won't realize that how it's affecting you here, right? Exactly. I agree totally. Axiom, he says the pride of these people as if they can own the weather. Exactly. And it's really catering to the people who worship the world, because only the people who worship this world think that these people can own anything. And they think that God is not in control and he's sovereign. God is organizing this as a judgment, right? That's why Jesus says that a lot of things are going to happen, but the end is not yet. But all of this is that prophecy may be fulfilled, because again, this world is passing away. And see, the people of this world, they don't want to accept that. So they believe the lies for escapism. Therefore, they ignore objective reality and have cognitive dissonance concerning the things that are clearly seen, right? Like you tell people, hey, those airplanes are doing something bad to you. People are like, no, it isn't. The scientists said that it's contrails, just condensation, right? And yet you can see literally zigzag patterns. Like the sky looks ridiculous sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's so obvious that you don't realize how deep this cognitive dissonance is until you realize that people just don't care. They're so wrapped up in their worldly identity, their status, their wealth, their pride. And then when their body has a reaction to this, instead of being like, you know what, it could be that. Nah, I need to wait for them to tell me what it is, right? So they wait for their experts to give them a narrative, and they say, well, ignore all of that. Is what they said, right? And everything they have has some kind of false solution to it. That's why they, the problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialectic. It's always about that. They gotta see. They have to rebrand and reinterpret what's happening so they can tell you what they want you to think the problem is, right? And so you're going to react and be like, oh man, yeah, if somebody came to your house and sprayed noxious gas in your house, you're going to start coughing. You're probably going to get dizzy. You're going to have all kinds of reaction. But if you ignore that somebody came to your house and sprayed noxious gas, and instead you turn on TV and said, hey, there's something going around, and you just totally ignored that people just sprayed poison in your house, that's cognitive dissonance. You trust the world so much that you think it couldn't have been the very people that only lost and spiritually blind people trust. Because you're spiritually blind if you attribute any sense of honesty and morality to these worldly systems. If you think they care about your life, if you think that they want to be, they care about your wellness, then you're deceived. Like, where do you even establish what worldview do you have to even think why should they care about you? If it's all about control and power to push a satanic agenda where you're worshiping the world leading up to the beast system, then lies will always be more beneficial because they're exploiting people who are led of a sinful nature, right? People who are moved by the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life. Like, they know people, a lot of people in the world who are worldly are greedy, right? They're greedy and they love money. So obviously, if the world wants to affect you, all they do is affect your employment opportunity, right? Well, and we saw this in 2020. A lot of people say, well, I guess I better just obey the authorities because I don't want to lose my job. If they had that same faith towards God and say, well, I don't want to go to hell, so I'm going to put my faith in Christ because I'm already a sinner, then there'll be a lot of people who believe the gospel, but they don't have faith for God, but they have faith in the world. They care more about their job than the fact that we're all going to die and you're going to be in judgment for how you lived and who you lived for. You see the inconsistency? People care about the things of this world more than the fact that you could die tomorrow and stand in the judgment seat or stand before the judgment seat of Christ. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. What's going on, Paige White? Yeah, people have noticed that these trails are often in the shape of pentagrams. And I appreciate y'all using, certain language because we don't want to make it too easy for them over here. What's going on, Amy B? What's going on? And I'm going to talk to you all about things I've used. Let me tell you, if you can find some real organic ginger root, get as much as you can of ginger root. Cut it up, blend it in your smoothies, add it to your tea, use it as a base for any natural cold press or teas or drinks that you're making. Ginger root is one of the most, I use it all the time, and it literally just helps with inflammation in my body so well. As you get older, you have weaknesses in your teeth, you have weaknesses in your joints, you have weaknesses just all over your body. And it's just great to keep that inflammatory marker low. So what I do is I load up on ginger. It's like one of those things, I have no ill effects from it. I just use it as much as possible. It helps stimulate my circulation. And as you get older, having a robust circulation and reducing inflammation, it just gives you a higher quality of life because you need to move. You want to feel like you can get stuff done. And if you're in pain, it just makes everything difficult, So definitely that. I try to get as much lemons. I always have lemons in my house. Raw honey, get it local because local honey, local raw, unfiltered, non-pasteurized, never heated, organic raw honey has the local pollen from that area. And so it kind of stimulates your body to deal with the pollen because what happens is pollen has never been our issue, so to speak. Pollen can be an irritant, but what they won't tell you is that pollen is an irritant because your body has been weakened by heavy metals, by toxins, and by everything else until now your body's in such a weakened state that pollen and dust, which of which a healthy body could deal with, it becomes an inflammatory autoimmune issue, right? And autoimmune just simply means your body becomes catabolic to itself because it's trying to get rid of toxic cells that it destroys itself and to do so. So if your body's full of toxins, it's going to try to destroy those toxic cells. So it becomes like attacking itself. But your body is smart. It's trying to get rid of the toxic dead cells in the body. Yeah, turmeric is good. I'm still trying to work out turmeric because turmeric is good. I just noticed that sometimes you just make sure that your liver and your kidney is great. Turmeric is good for inflammation and it's good as well. I noticed a few things, and I think it's because maybe make sure you get it like the natural turmeric root, because it's like any product, you have to make sure the quality. See, now that people are becoming health conscious, a lot of counterfeit people are not giving you pure products. So sometimes it's not necessarily what you're using, it's the quality of what you're using, because a lot of these like Coca-Cola and Nestle company are taking over the health industry. They're keeping the label in the words, but they're kind of giving this low quality product. So you have to look at the parent companies of a lot of these uh, s- smaller health companies and make sure they haven't been bought up. They in as conglomerates, right? Because a lot of tea companies, like I love tea, but a lot of the evil companies have bought up healthy brands. They bought them out, but they keep the name, and you thinking, oh, this is the healthy tea I always use. But now you don't realize that it's owned by Pepsi Cola or Nestle or Procter and Gamble or somebody, and they don't care. That they'll put in all kinds of heavy metals and all kinds of stuff and arsenic and whatever in there. So just do your research. Do your research. Yes, it must be organic. What's going on, Simon? Cayenne pepper is definitely my go-to. I did a short on cayenne pepper. Let me tell you, cayenne pepper in this day and age, when so many things are affecting your blood viscosity, and they want to make sure, and you want to avoid that your blood is not getting sticky and clotting up and all that. Man, I just keep cayenne. I take it like daily. You can add it, you can use it as a spice. I take it in capsules. Sometimes I open the capsules up, or I just get the powder and I just sprinkle some in anything. I'm used to the heat of it. Actually, when I have a sinus issue, the heat opens up my sinus. I mean, it does it like onions. Let me tell you, if you're having congestion, just cut up an onion or eat a piece of onion. Just make sure you have a little bit of on your stomach, because onion on an empty stomach can be rough. But after you have a little bit on your stomach, I just take a bite out of an onion like an apple. Man, it will drain that mucus out of you like it does for me. Again, this is my personal experience. And I do it. Make sure that you know yourself, or you don't have any issues that you have to confer with somebody to make sure that it's good for you to do it. But as for me, it's great. Garlic, I love adding garlic to my to garlic and ginger with honey and cayenne and all that stuff, and I mix it together in a base. Great stuff, man. So I love doing that. Oh, what's going on? Thank you, Jason Casper. He said, "God bless, bro. My friend posted a video about the strange fog that was around in South Florida." Yeah, man, it's insane out there. And again, be aware that they're trying to spin narratives, because they using words so you won't see it as no issue, but it's global. Let me not use that word. It's worldwide, and you have to be aware that so much is going on. Oh wow, Bible Thumper says cayenne pepper and hot coffee. Wow, yeah. I mean, that's I never tried that. And I do like coffee. I just make sure I take a break, because anytime you have a stimulant, even if it's decaf, coffee and tea stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. So as much as I love, like a lot of people are fine with a daily cup of coffee. Some people do, but just know yourself. Know how your body feels, and know your stress level. Because sometimes personally my body needs to relax. I'll give me some lemon balm, some chamomile tea, or I just and I'll just relax and kind of calm, especially if you are a person who's active and you work out. Sometimes your body needs to rest. You need to rest not just on your muscular level, but on your endocrine and parasympathetic levels. Like one thing I realized when it comes to working out and overtraining is that your muscles are very resilient. Your muscles, they do a lot, but I had to be more aware of my parasympathetic nervous system and my endocrine system, because those things don't recover as fast as your muscles. So you'll get gains, you'll get your 6-pack, your 12-pack, whatever, abs, your obliques and all that stuff coming out, but then you'll reach a point where your body starts to feel run down, and then you'll be more susceptible to whatever whatever toxins are in the air. So you want to make sure your body is at an optimum level. So what I do personally is I fluctuate between high impact and low impact, strength training, cardio. I just fluctuate. Some days I just need to walk, and I'll do some walking, and I might include some stairs, some hill walking, or something like that. Other days, I need strength training, and I just mix it with a little cardio to get the blood flowing, get my tendons and ligaments and connective tissues warmed up. Do personally, I don't, I don't know. As I get older, I do more calisthenics. I still love using weights. I use bands. I like pull ups. Body weight, kettlebells, all that good stuff is good. You gotta know your body. Like I said, everybody's a little different depending on how tall you are, the proportion of your limbs. Certain exercises are more advantageous than others. Like if you have a stockier, shorter frame, weightlifting might be better for you. But if you are of a taller frame, you have to be more aware of the leverage of your longer limbs, and the susceptibility of your joints and everything together. So you have to, do what helps you to be more functional. I like to be a functional athlete. I like to do like I like to carry groceries, and I like to, do things to keep me more functional. So because I'm a little taller, I'm over 6 feet, so I have to do things that I don't put as much stress on my joints and stuff. Uh, let's see. A lot of coffee drinkers. What's going on? Filero Brown, peace and blessings. Welcome. Let's see. Oh, thank you again, brother Casper. He said I'm the same way. I get burnt out lifting weights. After a few weeks, I gotta take time off. In fact, I'm fighting a cold now because I went too hard last week with a little rest. Yeah, I mean, it's serious. Like when I was younger, man, I like power. I used to do power cleans. I used to I had my 300-pound Olympic bench press. I would go hard, but see, I didn't have the understanding of a lot of things, and I was doing too much. That was when I was trying to do protein powders, eat all of this oatmeal, and trying to bulk up and all that stuff. And my body wasn't, I had a lot of bad habits. I was, drinking and, smoking weed and all this stuff. And so my body was all the balance, and all that stuff was raising my insulin levels, and, all that stuff, all that concentrated whey protein and stuff has to be filtered out through your liver and kidneys. And so my body was under a lot of stress, and I was just not resting enough. I wasn't sleeping. And so I tried to do so much, and it was only by God's grace that I was young that didn't manifest into a bigger issue, because I could have easily got a serious injury or something like that. But yeah, I mean, you got to know your body, and you have to rest your body holistically and comprehensively. Like, remember, your circulatory system, anytime you're straining your body, your blood vessels can reach a maximum strain. A lot of people have aneurysms and they burst blood vessels because you have to know when you can push and when you need to relax. Sometimes you have to push. Sometimes I just feel extra strong. Maybe I got good sleep. I ate well consistently. My organs, all my systems are recharged, and that's when I want to push. I feel great. And even now in my 40s, I love to do that because I still have those moments where they remind me of when I was in my 20s. They're just not as common. Trust me, I have more days where I just don't feel like my 20s or my 30s, but I still have days when I do. And I realize it's a balance between resting and knowing when to push, and knowing when to, in all things moderation. All things moderation. What's going on, K Monet? Thank you. You found my name, my channel through Brother Unplug 'em. Yeah, Brother Unplug 'em is great. Same with Days of Noah. I appreciate those brothers out there doing the work. I think, yeah, I remember Brother Days has a health channel as well. So y'all look out. He has one video in there, and he's doing a lot, man. He got a lot going on. And fasting is great too. XC says Hogmaster, I like to carry groceries too. I don't infuse weights and calisthenics into my workouts. Yeah, I do. I do fuse. Yeah, I mean, like as men, and maybe it's just me, but if y'all men can relate, I like to make everything a workout. Like sometimes I love to carry groceries when I have to walk upstairs because I'm very dysfunctional. When you're walking upstairs and you're carrying weight, you I'm involved in that mind muscle connection. I feel my legs working when I'm carrying the groceries and everything. I try to make sure I'm walking. Sometimes I like to sprint. I'm not really a runner, but I like to sprint because sprinting gives me that, that I get to push my body and get that benefit of running, but I don't have the long term impact of my joints and my knees because I like, I'm trying to get jump. I like to do jumping. I jump in place. You can do jump squats here and there. I like to play basketball. I like to play football. So those are very active things that I like to play. Keep me young. Play with the younger people. Um, all that good stuff. And Jason, I saw that you grow watermelons, potatoes, and you have a whole garden and stuff, man. That's great. And anybody else who has a local garden, man, that's the way to be. And you don't have to have if you can't do it big, grow some herbal stuff, oregano, parsley, aloe. Um, it's a lot of things you can grow in a very limited space. It's always good to start with something. Have some plants. They have certain plants. I think they call it a snake plant or something. If you put it in your house, it's good to sleep next to it. It gives you good oxygen while you're sleeping. So always incorporate plants in your house. Aloe, you want to get some natural aloe. Is good for cuts, burns, skin, all that good stuff. It's always good to start developing that because we don't know how abundant resources are going to be long term. And if you're not practicing uh, how to be self-sustainable as best you can, then you're going to be at the dependent of supply chain disruptions, whatever they got going on. And you want to be as self-sustaining as possible. I know it's not convenient. Some people don't have the space, but there are things you can do. There's always something you can do. What's going on? Just reality. He says, switch off the Wi-Fi and buy some cacti. Yeah, cactus are great. Plants actually help to absorb radiation. And and that's kind of why in the cities they want to cut down a lot of trees. So just remember, I don't know what's going on. Back to this fog issue, I don't know what's in the fog. I can't tell you. We know that it's not good. Just like what we know when you see the sky, that haze. Everybody knows that familiar milky haze that's unnatural. You know, especially if you're past a certain age and you know what the sky used to look like before they started doing this stuff, on such a high level and frequency, it just looks so unnatural. And now it makes the sun, you don't get the benefits of having that real good, healthy sunshine. And one day I remember I looked at the sun and it burnt my eyes and it made my eyes water. I never had that happen before. And it took a long time for my eyes to recover. So I don't know if they're putting something to refract the light coming from the sun. And I heard the rumors of some kind of artificial sun and all. I can't speak on it. I hear about it. I don't doubt it, but I just can't verify it. But I know that something's not right. Some days the sun feels good. I try to get it. When it's not sprayed up, I get as much sun as possible. Even if it's ice cold, clean your window off, sit in front of the window. Your skin cells react to sunlight in a way that only God created. All right. When the sun enters your eyes, it hits your skin, it does something. It has a biochemical reaction in your body. I don't need to understand it. I just know it benefits me. It keeps my energy right. It helps my body feel more alive, more well, and it helps me get over detoxification issues. That's what I like to call flu-like symptoms, detoxification, because I want my mind to always be aware that these things are detoxification issues. My body's trying to get rid of something. So anytime you have a lot of mucus or you have congestion, you need to help your body do what it's already trying to do. Get into a sauna, take a hot shower, get some peppermint, eucalyptus oils, open up the sinus, and then what else? There's a lot of things you can do. You can eat an onion if you can tolerate it. I do these things. This is what I do. I do take oil of oregano, black seed oil. Do your own research, find your brands, make sure it's good for you. Do you all you need to do. I'm just telling you what I do. If I feel like I need to get rid of something in my body, I got EDTA to take. I got activated charcoal. There's a lot of chelators that you can do to help you remove toxic things to pull. But be careful. I'm very careful with these chelators because I don't want to pull out too much of the good with the bad. The grossest but necessary thing we all need to do: make sure your colon is cleansed. If I realize if your colon is not cleansed, your body's not going to absorb nutrients properly. You can eat all the right foods, and not the bioavailability and assimilation into your body in the small intestines and large intestines is not going to be there because your body is caked with toxins. So I make sure I eat fiber, probiotic, prebiotic foods, sauerkraut, kimchi, um, all of that. Try to get your ghee, grass-fed, grass-finished meats, butters, cheeses if you can tolerate it. Technically, I can't tolerate cheeses like that, but for those who can, get your grass-fed, the way that it's supposed to be. If you have a local farm that's not compromised, man. Like when I hear people have their own cows and chickens and their own gardens or homesteads, I'm just like, wow, that's a great thing to have, especially now. I love eggs. For me, eggs is a staple. I know everybody doesn't do it. I think that it's a kind of for men, and I could be speaking just for me, eggs help me out a lot. I feel great. My teeth, my bones are stronger. Remember, bone is just protein, hardened protein. It's that keratin, it's that protein that's hardened, just like your nails. So calcium is a mechanism to harden, but it's really the protein that the calcium is affecting. And of course, you got to get your sunlight for vitamin D3, vitamin K2 from your fermented foods and fats like butter. I think natto has some. It's like a Japanese dish or something like that. I heard it's gross, but it has very high in vitamin K2 because vitamin 3, from what I've read, it helps to get the calcium out of your bloodstream. You don't want calcium lingering in your bloodstream because that's the mechanism that hardens your arteries, right? So you want to get that calcium out of your bloodstreams, and then vitamin 2 helps to pull it out of your tissues and everywhere where it's, vitamin K2 pulls it out of the wrong places and puts it right in your teeth and your bones. So, and let me tell you something about teeth. I told you it's my first live, so I'm all over the place. A lot of teeth issues are fungus related. Most people think that teeth issues begin in the mouth, but they actually begin in the gut. Because you can brush your teeth, you can floss, and if you do all these things and you're still having a white tongue and you're still having inflamed gums, because I've been through all this periodontitis and all this, is that it was my gut. My microbiome was off in my gut and in my colon. And remember, that's one connected tract. So if it's affected in one area, it can affect your whole tract. So usually if you have heartburn, acid reflux, GERD, leaky gut, all these little terms that people have, a lot of times that can affect a lot of different areas in your GI tract, your gastrointestinal tract, GI tract. So I like to acidify my stomach with apple cider vinegar, or I use betaine hydrochloride. That's what I use to keep my stomach very acid, because your stomach needs to be acid while the rest of your body needs to be alkaline. So if your stomach is not acid enough, that pyloric valve and over your stomach won't close when your stomach is low acid. And so the valve only closes when your stomach is high acid. And that's why I used to think I had too much acid, and that's why I was getting acid reflux, but I realized I had low acid. And so when I ate, my stomach did not acidify properly to break down the food. And so my stomach always treated it like this, it wasn't trying to break down food. But when the acid is high, that valve closes. The acid doesn't come back up. So I just do apple cider vinegar, betaine hydrochloride, and that helped me to get rid of bad microbes in my gut. You can use a good probiotic to get the good microbes, lactobacillus, and all these good microbes that help you produce enzymes, break down foods, and balance out your probiotics and all this good stuff. And I started to do this, and I started to see a good reaction in my own body. This was for me. What's going on, Rebecca Lynn? Welcome, peace and blessings. Joe Potter, what's going on? Mastermind, what's going on? And like I said, I've been on the health journey since I was a kid. I remember I was an encyclopedia reading nerd. I used to read all encyclopedias and all this stuff, and I used to, test things out on myself from a young age. While Gigi says we are raising chickens, musgroves, and turkeys, and getting ready to start seeds soon for the garden. That's amazing. And I love to hear stuff. It's very motivating and encouraging for the rest of us who are kind of behind the curve. What's going on the narrow way? Carnivore healed my gut. No more acid reflux. No more GERD. No migraine. Exactly. And see, I need my body specifically. I need it to do more protein. That doesn't mean I don't have salads, because I need fiber as well to feed the gut microbes. But the bulk of my food, I try to do high carbs. I can't do it long. Now, when I work out, I need those healthy carbs when I'm under intense exercise, or just every once in a while. But the worst thing for me was when I ate high carbs and I was sedentary. I wasn't moving a lot. A lot of times, it's not necessarily the carbs, it's the lack of movement and a sedentary lifestyle that we're not stimulating an insulin's response, or we have insulin, what they call insulin resistance, which means that you've eaten so much processed and bad foods that your body no longer responds to these high carbs, and so it's not producing insulin to like pull that sugar out of your blood and into the cells, right? And then also you have to make sure that your pancreas, your beta cells in your pancreas are not damaged, because that's what causes you to produce insulin. So just a prolonged unhealthy lifestyle can have very long lasting effects. We all been young. We all had bad habits and did a lot of bad things. So we have to make sure that we're kind of helping our body to repair a lot of that damage before we start doing things like trying to increase our carbs and doing these. Because first you want good carbs. You want unrefined carbs, unrefined sugars. And what I mean by that is whole foods. Because when you get sugars from fruits, it comes with enzymes, fiber, nutrients, everything that helps your body assimilate that sugar so that it doesn't just sit in your bloodstream. And I used to have to learn that. I was like, when you eat candy, it has no nutritional value. So that sugar, it really has a hard time being absorbed. And what's going to happen, it will linger more in your blood. Even when you work out, your cells just don't like that sugar that's unpackaged outside of nutritious foods, right? And a lot of time you have to urinate it out, and that's going to give you a fatty liver, because your liver has to deal with all that sugar, and so do your kidneys. And that's when you start having issues. So it's best to get your sugar from foods. I know everybody has a sweet tooth. If you like cookies like me, chocolate chip, I try to make my own with the natural ingredients, so that I at least know that it's not, the fakest cookie in the world. I still got to have my cookie every now and then. That's just me. Let's see. So I'm not going to make this a super long one, man, but I just want to tell you about this, the environmental toxicity and the weather mod. Because remember, a lot of people are catching on, trying to grow their own foods, and they want to manipulate the weather to destroy people's efforts. All it takes is a flood, a drought, or something just crazy. Even the heavy metals are raining down the soils, right? And clean water. This is huge. When you're bathing, remember, you absorb water through your skin almost as good as you do when you drink it. So make sure that you have shower filters. If you don't have well water, and even though if you have well water, make sure your well water is not connected to contaminated waterways, or somebody dumping poisons and toxins into the ground, and it leaches into your well water. A lot of people had wells destroyed because they were some toxic chemical plant was dumping something and leaching into the sediment of the earth, and it leaked into the groundwater. So because the further you go back, everybody had a well that tapped into almost an infinite supply of water under the ground. We didn't need pipes that were uh, rusting and all this stuff. People had wells. It was work, but it was that work that kept us honest. It kept families together because we realized that we were a benefit together, and of course you must be in Christ to have that love to even want to work together to glorify God. And but it was great. The Cookie Monster. What's going on? Child of the King, Jesus my Lord. What's going on? Like, I'm one of those people. Look, even when I eat snacks, I like to. There's a lot of things I used to like for snacks I just can't eat no more. But if I do want to have that, if you bake a cake or a pie, just make sure you use the ingredients you can vouch for. I try to avoid buying these things already made because you can't. People are going to use seed oils. They're going to use margarine. They're going to use all these things that is very just bad for your body. Like tallow. You can use tallow, ghee, in some instances, coconut oil or something to cook with. And even then, you have to know what level of heat you're using. And some things are better for high heats and some are for low heat. So you have to just understand how it works. Tallow is just animal fats. People use that. Like if you go back to the farming days, they didn't waste nothing of the animal. The fat was to cook. A lot of things. They had a lot of reasons to do a lot of things. So yeah, so I love sourdough bread. Sometimes I make my garlic bread, and I use, of course, real garlic. I use ghee, and I use my own spices and seasonings, and I make my own natural garlic bread with ghee on some sourdough bread because sourdough has the best. It helps. It's just already fermented for your body to break down those carbs, and that's why I like sourdough because, for me, it has that low glycemic or effect on my body, where breads can be very negative to blood sugar, but sourdough is just it's already in a form your body can just easily break down and assimilate when you're active. So I love sourdough. B1 says, "Oh, what you can use sourdough for your cookies? Oh wow! Have you ever tried Himalayan and neem toothpaste? It sounds awful. Yeah, I have tried neem. I've tried a lot of different uh, toothpaste, even make my own. I like to do coconut oil, baking soda, clove oil, peppermint oil, and maybe some thyme oil. You can use diatomaceous clay or bentonite clay and add that to a little toothpaste, and it helps to remineralize. And for me, I saw good effects with, if you have low grade cavities, it just helps the nutrients and the mineral content of the diatomaceous clay and bentonite clay helps to kind of it helps your body to help remineralize. But mainly in your mouth, if you keep having cavities, it could be the probiotic nature of your mouth. It could be candida or something like that. You could have biofilms. And this is why people don't understand the danger of candida, because if you have it for a long time, your body creates biofilms to protect this candida. It's not going to be easy just taking oregano oil and thyme and all these things, clove oils and waters. It's not going to be as easy. You'll kill a lot of it, but the bulk of it will still be on the biofilm. So what I tend to do is for myself, I use prolytic enzymes like serrapeptase, nattokinase, prolase, all these enzymes to break down the biofilm. And I've seen, and keep in mind, when you break down biofilms, your body is going to go into what they call, what do they call it? When you break down the fungus and then it like hits your system and you're going to shock, because this is when people use EDTA or activated charcoal to pull out some of that biofilm, because it'll hit your body at once and you'll feel like you have flu-like symptoms trying to break down the biofilm, because a lot of toxins and a lot of candida was released. And so that's when you want to use the oregano oils and such. But then you also have to, I try to do that EDTA and activated charcoal to pull out the byproduct of that stuff, so it won't hit my body all at once and I just feel like crap. What's going on, Tarali? Smart dust, exactly. They told us about smart dust. What's going on, Joy? You said hello, toothpaste is all right. Yeah, Narrowway says make everything from scratch with organic ingredients. If you can grow your own, grow your own. If not, buy local farms and organic everything, but it's worth it. Yeah, it costs more, but you're really supporting the infrastructure. This is what we have to realize. See, the more we come out of this world, the more we're going to support, local people, specifically those within the body of Christ who are not conformed to the world. And we're really investing in ourselves. You have to look at it as an investment. You support the local family-owned farms who are providing the uncompromised products, because they're going to be sky high in commercial grocery stores. And I'm just saying, if you can go there and you got it like that, that's fine. But you don't want to also be at the mercy of supply chain disruption when you have someone. Now, it's best to go to a farm you can visit so you can verify. You want to always do as much verification as you can, but if you can't, you do the best you can and you pray. Prayer, it has a profound effect on the heart posture of what we do, and God gives us grace and mercy concerning things that He knows that we can't control. But there are also a lot of things that we can control. So that's not to mitigate or to make us not responsible for what we can control, because our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, and we should treat it as such. And I have to tell myself this all the time. There are a lot of things that I have to remind myself of. It's these bad habits are they hardwired into our system. So once we come to Christ, the slave to that sinful nature is gone. But now we have the Holy Spirit working us, where we can actually do the work. We can actually do the work because the Holy Spirit is there to guide us. And you should have a new desire to treat your body as the temple of God. What's going on, Heather? For Yeshua, peace and blessings. Dudley Les, what's going on? Peace and blessings. Thank you for coming through. Yeah, Diometrius Earth. Yeah, that's it's like clay. You got to look it up. I'm not sure if I even said it right. What's going on, Schwan 84? Peace and blessings. Daryl Calhoun, what's going on? I appreciate y'all coming through. Make sure y'all sub to this channel. So y'all know this is my health channel. I'm about to start lighting this thing up, man, because a lot of people are already starting to do a lot of things. There's a lot of valuable information that we can share, for those who are seeking to get away from this toxic lifestyle that this world is adopting. They're trying to get you into CRISPR grown food and fake lab grown meats and all this stuff. And they're not going to, pretty soon, you can't trust labels. It's going to get to a point where you can't trust the labels. Like, I think there's a law that says they don't have to tell you when fish is farm raised or wild caught. Sometimes they do, but they have certain levels where they're not obligated to do so. Also, I heard that Celtic sea salt is probably better. A lot of Himalayan sea salt, I heard, has a lot of heavy metals and arsenics and stuff in it. I don't know. That's what I hear. But I hear a lot of people saying that Celtic sea salt is really good. If you can find a good source. I mean, there's probably other brands out there. I know some people heard of Redmond's, but then I heard things about Redmond's, and you can't believe everything you hear. But sometimes when you hear something, it makes you research and look into the company and make sure it's not attached to a parent company that's corrupt. So, this is how I am. I use distilled water. I have a distilled water machine, but I do use distilled water and, try to not use plastics as much as possible. Use glass, or, stuff like that. Avoid aluminum as well. Aluminum is very toxic to the nervous system. And once I realized that, I try to avoid aluminum and I get stainless steel, such things as possible. Joy says, I ran across a company today online called Misfits Market. Their aim is to stop food waste, buying from farmers and stores at discounted prices and pass it to us. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to check that out. I'm going to look into it. Yeah, activated charcoal, you have to make sure you drink plenty of water because it can make you constipated. So just make sure you drink enough water and make sure when you're drinking water, you are eating some fruit and you're adding a little bit of a good quality sea salt to it because um, you don't want to flush out your electrolytes and have hyponatremia. Um, uh, is it hypernatremia, whichever is when your body loses electrolytes too fast, and your sodium can cause brain fog, and you can have serious implications in your heart and your brain if your body is totally depleted from electrolytes. So just make sure nothing gives you the runs or nothing like that because you don't want to deplete too much of your electrolytes. A lot of people don't realize how dangerous that is, especially if you're sensitive in your youth or your age. Um, he said, I got black seed oil. Yeah, what I do with black seed oil is I take a little bit of raw honey and I put it in the spoon and I just eat it like that. Black seed oil is, yeah, the taste, but I add a little bit of raw honey to it. It's perfect. So just make sure that we're aware that there's a hodgepodge of toxic soup floating around night and day. So first thing we do is pray that in Christ we live for his glory. And that's going to remove a lot of addictions. A lot of people eat emotionally and we're seeking comfort in something other than Christ. And once we seek Christ as our rest and our comfort, a lot of these addictions and these emotional dependencies will fall away. And then we can dedicate more of our life to Christ and then we can live according to his will and design, free of using foods and substances as crutches, like when you feel the urge to drink or smoke weed or eat too much junk, that's a spiritual issue that we need to take to Christ and let him set you free from that because we're trying to compensate for something that we were meant to give to him. God wants our complete self. He doesn't want us to hold out. And I'm talking to myself as well. So we must go to Christ and not depend on foods for the wrong thing because then you're going to eat the wrong foods. If you use food for anything other than what it's supposed to, you're going to eat the wrong foods. What's going on? Nancy Rosano, peace and blessings. Shazane, what's going on? Man, I appreciate y'all coming through, man. So this is one of my first streams on my health channel. I wanted to talk to you all about just on a general overview, kind of testing to see how well I can actually put these ideas together and navigate the algorithm and all that. So this was kind of a test, but also a good chance to just give people an understanding of my view of what's going on. Yes, there is a lot going on out here, and we must be cognizant and aware. And again, walking in your faith will lead you not to trust. Faith in Jesus biblically will not lead you to trust in the world, believe their narratives, their theories, and trust in their institutions. But you become aware of the goal of the world. You start to see this large macro deception, and then you'll have to see the benefit of doing things yourself, growing your food whenever possible, supporting local family-owned farms, um, eating foods to help the detoxing process. Let me tell you, once you train your body to love the right foods, you will enjoy the feeling and the clean, pure feeling that these eating real foods. Let me tell you, eating fruit instead of eating junk, it's a transition. But once you get used to eating fruits and vegetables and healthy meats, grass fast, grass finished, pasture raised, no GMO, no hormones, steroids, whatever meat, then you feel your body rewards you with this great feeling of wellness, of energy, of not this heaviness, not this kind of foggy, like sluggish feeling. Like if you eat food and you feel like you want to go to sleep, that's usually a telltale sign of the quality of your food. You know, the best thing to do, you should eat food that gives you energy, makes you want to get up and walk after a meal, because walking helps your body digest, this food. You don't want to sit, and you definitely don't want to lay down. So if you're eating right, your body should feel energetic, and you should have an urge to walk after you eat. This is why it's good to eat and then have, 2 to 4 hours before you go to sleep, because then you can walk around. Don't do nothing heavy in the first 30, 40 minutes of eating, because that's too much. Just walking is good enough. Yeah. What's going on, Demar? Let's see. Demar says, thank you. I've been sick for over a year with stomach and mouth issues. I'm at a long distance runner and almost not able to do anything any longer because I am sick. Well, yeah, make sure it's not candida. Candida will rob you of your health and your energy. And candida is fed by eating hyper processed foods and junk and just a lot of things that are not good. And sometimes you really got to break down those biofilms, and you have to really, there's a lot of natural things like oregano and thyme and berberine. I use berberine. Berberine is great. Curcumin is also good. Also, just make sure you read and you see if this works, if it's a good fit for you. That's what I do. I realize I try not to. My goal is not to be dependent on supplements. Is to get as much as I can from food sources. But when the food source is not readily available, I supplement. But a lot of supplements are concentrated, and that strains your liver and kidney. So food is designed we can get the assimilation of the nutrient without the stress. Anytime things are powdered and concentrated, it's good for you, but long term, you need to give your liver and your kidney time to rest and recover. Because food is what we're designed to do, and when we eat naturally, we naturally have spaces in between our eating of intermittent fasting and just general fasting. You don't want the supplements to interfere with your body's intermittent fasting, because that's a vital part of our body's detoxification. And sometimes people keep supplementing when they're not eating, and they kind of suppress the body's fasting period. So that's important as well. And again, I'm talking to myself. I'm still figuring this stuff out. So yeah. XC says eating proper food helps retain information and brain function, eliminating brain fog. Exactly. What's going on, G. Laro? What's going on, brother? Getting enough sleep, Shawana says. Definitely. Sleep is vital. And even when you can't, if sleep is good. And when I'm having trouble sleeping, I take magnesium glycinate, or you got valerian, you got lemon balm, you got chamomile. Again, do not be dependent. If this is kind of, just make sure you're not eating the bad foods. Can also disrupt your sleep, stress, get your prayer life with God. A lot of times we carry too much stress and anger and bitterness when we're sleeping. The Bible says, do not let the sun go down on your anger. So just make sure we're right with God, and we're putting our faith, and we're walking out our faith to deal with issues that are bothering us, so we don't carry them over into our subconscious. So, yeah, there's a lot of good things out there. Just don't overdo it. Yep, that's right, Shawana. Sometimes you're not hungry, you're thirsty. Your body can relay dehydration as hunger. So make sure you're drinking enough. That's my biggest issue. Sometimes I get busy and I forget to drink enough water. And I'm wondering why I got mucus buildup, because staying hydrated, not overhydrated, but hydrated is the best way to help your body eliminate mucus without congestion. So, yeah, boron is good. Boron is good for laundry. I use borax for your laundry. It gets rid of a lot of odor and particles in your clothes. And boron is good to help your minerals and detox the body. So definitely do boron. Make sure that your laundry detergent isn't full of, I know people like Tide, but Tide is full of chemicals. Get it natural laundry detergent, get some borax, some baking soda. I know people, look, if you want some natural scent, just make sure it's not full of chemicals, because those chemicals have xenoestrogens, If it's like colognes, I stopped using colognes because most of them have xenoestrogens that are endocrine disruptors. So I like oils that I get that are natural. Um, G. Lauro says, do laundry with white vinegar and baking soda. Definitely. So if you're on a budget, just know that there are things you can do when you can't afford that expensive laundry detergent. We're telling you. So I think I'm gonna stop it right here. But I appreciate all of you all coming through, sharing information. This is what I love. We all sharing our experiences. We're sharing information. And again, this is not medical advice. We're not medical professionals. We're just offering our experiences and things that we do for ourselves. So you must figure out what's good for you. You know, find your naturopathic, holistic professional and figure it out what's good for you. On that note, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here, but I thank you all for checking me out on my health channel. Again, first time back. Thank you, Jason Casper, for your generous support. Thank you all for your fellowship, your prayers, just interacting, hitting the like button, subscribing. I am grateful and humbled, and I pray for you all, and I pray that we all just keep on fighting the good fight of faith, because our health begins with our faith. It begins with our faith in Jesus. You know, we got to be set free from sin. And then after that, then we have the spirit and the heart and the mind to love to take care of the rest of us, to the glory of God. Whatever you do, whether you eat or drink, we do to the glory of God. So I appreciate y'all. What's going on, Dale Griffith? Oh, you good, bro? Man, I make typos. Sometimes I think that the NSA is messing with my keyboard. I make so many typos from autocorrect. I know I'm not crazy, but it's all good, brothers and sisters here. Appreciate y'all. If I didn't see you, because sometimes I don't see everyone, but I definitely appreciate you. If I didn't call your name and see you there, I see you. Sometimes I can't see everyone because the chat moves. But I appreciate all of you all. Okay. So on that note, I'm out of here. Peace and blessings. I might do a stream on my backup channel today, God willing. Yeah, we'll see. On that note, peace and blessings. And again, give all praise and glory to Jesus Christ, who is the Lord, who died for our sins and rose that we can be with him in the heavenly places. So peace and blessings, and I'm out.